I refused to pay for my son's emergency room visit after he got jumped. My 16-year-old son came through the front door with blood pouring down his face. Mom, 3 guys jumped me after school. I didn't do anything, I swear. This is my only child and someone had just beaten him bloody. I rushed him to the emergency room where they gave him 7 stitches above his eye. I held his hand the whole time thinking about what I was going to do to whoever hurt my baby. On the drive home, he turned to me with tears still wet on his cheeks. You're gonna make them pay, right? I squeezed his hand. I will make sure those boys never touch you again. He smiled and leaned back in his seat. But when he turned toward the window, I caught his reflection in the glass. The tears were gone. He was smirking. The next morning, I sat across from the principal with photos of my son's bloody face on my phone. I want these boys expelled and I'm pressing charges. He just sat there staring at me like he was waiting for something. I noticed a thick folder on his desk with my son's name written on the tab. I have photos of his injuries. I'll go to the police if I have to. The silence stretched so long I could hear the clock ticking on the wall behind him. Then he leaned forward. How well do you know what your son does online? I know my son. He opened the folder and slid dozens of printed screenshots across the desk. Read these before we continue. I grabbed them expecting threats from those boys, but the first thing I saw was my son's name at the top of every single message. Texts he had been sending to a freshman girl for weeks. One said she was worthless and nobody would ever want her. Another said he would make her life miserable until she did something to herself. My hands started trembling. I kept flipping and each message was worse than the last. He posted about her online and got other students to turn against her. He told her every single day that she was ugly and disgusting and that everyone hated her. I looked up at the principal. There has to be some mistake. My son wouldn't do this. He didn't say anything. He just pointed back at the folder. I flipped to the final screenshot and my heart stopped. A photo of the girl's locker covered in printed copies of her face with the word worthless written across every single one in thick black marker. He did this? He did this to her locker? The principal nodded. She reported him multiple times, but he deleted everything and threatened anyone who tried to speak up. After the fight, students finally came forward because they weren't afraid of him anymore. The boys who jumped your son are her older brothers. They came to protect their sister because nobody else would. I put the screenshots down. Why would he do this to her? She rejected him at a school dance. He's been punishing her for it ever since. I asked to speak to the girl's mother. When she walked in, I stood up. I'm so sorry. I had no idea. She started crying. You're the first parent who believed us. Both families can press charges, but it means both boys get arrested. The suspension is fair. I'm not pressing charges. When I got home, my son was on the couch with an ice pack on his face, laughing at his phone. So are they getting expelled or what? I stood in front of the TV. Put the phone down. He rolled his eyes. Relax. I'm telling everyone those guys are going to jail and that girl is finally gonna learn to keep her mouth shut. I held up the screenshots. He glanced at them and laughed. She faked those. She's obsessed with me. You swore to my face in that emergency room. He shrugged. She embarrassed me at the dance. What was I supposed to do? Just let her get away with it? Rejecting you means she deserves to be told to hurt herself? He shrugged again. I didn't think she'd actually do it. That's on her. Why was she the one who stopped eating? He stood up and got in my face. Why do you even care about her? I'm your son. He threw his hands up. She should be thanking me for even paying attention to her. Girls like her don't get noticed by guys like me. That's when I realized I wasn't looking at my son anymore. I was looking at someone I had created. Give me your phone. He laughed. No. Phone. Car keys. Now. He grabbed the lamp and hurled it against the wall. Glass shattered everywhere. You're ruining my life over some nobody. I didn't flinch. I walked to the counter and picked up the hospital bill from the emergency room. I wrote his name across the top in black marker and set it back down. You can pay this yourself. The next morning, his window was open. He had snuck out. 2 hours later, the emergency room called. Her brothers had found him first.